Design and product fit. There are a few things you got to keep in mind when we are planning and designing our townhouses or apartments for our development. So there's product fit, and I'll go through that. And there's environmental sustainability. This portion is a little bit of theory, and it's all over the internet. You can get into it as deep as you can, or as much in detail as you like. But these two sections, which is environmentally sustainable design and the cost-effective design, are the important ones, and so is the product fit. So you understand exactly what are the things in terms of design and environmental sustainability that'll go and hit straight on your bottom line. So it could be in terms of saving costs, and it could be in terms of getting more value for what you are developing. So let's look at product fit. Product fit is all about sorry, I'll just put it here. Product fit, it stems from your research. Everything that we do in due diligence, that's where it comes from. It tells you what is in demand in the market. For example, two bedders versus single bedders. Oops, that should be single. Two bedders versus single bedders, or three bedders, for example. Is your target market investor or owner occupied? All these things will determine the kind of finish you will have in your product. Demographics, are they old people who are in that area, or are there people migrating from more expensive suburbs to suburbs that are a little bit further back, but they are more affordable and they are downsizing? So all these things come into play. Demand and supply, for example. Apartments versus townhouses. What sizes? Again, two bedders versus three bedders. Plus, you got to consider the gross floor area that you can build on. Then you got demand and supply. Two bedders versus three bedders or single bedders. Development pipeline. Development pipeline is very important for any person to consider, and the reason for that is by the time you put in the application and it goes through the planning process, and then you go and get your pre-sales and get your finance organized, there's a lot of time that's lapsed between the time you acquire the property without plans and permits to the time you're actually ready to build or actually go on the market and start selling. So development pipeline is all the applications that are already in council that tell you what is going to come on the market. And the way you look at it is that you go onto council website and you try and find out the development applications or planning applications that are listed on the site. And I'll give you an example. This is monash.vic.gov.au, and these are all the planning applications that are listed for advertising, and it goes on for 3 pages. So, well, let's say 2 pages. So you can look at it and say, okay, what's going on with this, and you can even click on them. What I do is I actually copy all this data, get it into Excel, and I'll show you. I've got this data in Excel. I can plot this data with my spatial analysis that we learned in our due diligence. I can plot that there, but what I do is I create 2 more columns, and I go through what it is. Okay, construct 2 single dwellings to the rear of existing dwelling. This data is actually from Frankston City Council because I was working on it. So it's not from Monash. Monash was only the website. I just wanted to show you where you can get this data off. And what you do then is you look at, okay, 2 bedders, 2 single developments, houses, that's what's coming up. But look at this. You've got secondary consent, 35 dwellings. Now I want to see where this is in terms of what I'm developing. And I want to make sure that, okay, this is already in application. So all I'm trying to do is trying to figure out if the market is already flooded with something that I'm proposing to develop, or if something is already in advertising at this stage and I haven't even begun the planning process. By the time I'm there, the market will be flooded again. So this is what I'm trying to weed out in this scenario, so that I do not spend my time trying to figure out exactly trying to figure out, or trying to go through the planning process to only to find out that by the time I come on the market or my development comes on the market, there's just too many of the same ones on the market already, and then you got to cut prices. So that's something important to consider. Now you've got owner occupied versus renters, which determine the type of finish to ensure ensuite to main bedroom and powder room downstairs are usually expected. Talk to real estate agents of what's selling or what's demanded. There could be like, for example, I'll give you an example with investors. If you develop something that's an investor product, all investors would say we want some fly screens in, we want some fan in one of the rooms where there's no air conditioning, for example. Why? Because it's easier for them to put it on rent, and it actually becomes more attractive to the person who's going to rent it off them. So make sure that these are small little things that you can do to your development and account for from the very beginning to know exactly what it's going to be. And you can also find this data by talking to your builder in the area. So let's look at the next module.